just so we can start reviewing, and hopefully we'll have a couple more folks on by then, as we do need to have 6 members on for us to have quorum. So we can't necessarily come to consensus on our minutes from September, but did anyone notice anything that needed correction, just so that we can get ahead of the game when our other members do join?
There was one that looked like a grammatical error in the paragraph about welcoming back to schools. It said welcome, thanks. And I don't know if that needed a comma or if it was just an extra word in there.
Okay.
It's actually underlined. Or like.
All right, I'll make a note and then we will make a correction. Say again, where was that again?
In the welcoming back to school section.
Okay.
It said welcome, thanks to, but the thanks didn't make sense.
Okay, we will make sure that we make a correction there. Any other noticings? Okay, so we'll have to table these until next time, when everyone is with us, unless we do get a few more of our team members. Oh, we have one. Here's Monique. We just need one more, and then we'll be able to come to consensus around the minutes. So we'll come back to that if everyone's okay with that. And I'll start off with the district superintendent's report. Share my screen. Okay, whoops. So some of this we did share at the CEC meeting. I do want to make sure that the DLT is fully aware as well as to upcoming dates, particularly around admissions. So we'll go through this very quickly, and then I'll share a little bit around our district status, and then certainly receive any questions from you guys that that do come up. 2024 admissions timeline. MySchools.nyc. It's the online directory for public schools and programs for 3K, pre-K, kindergarten, G&T, middle school or high school. You know, for families, it's important that we have those My School accounts. So connecting with parent coordinator is really important in that space. Fall 2024 admissions timeline. High schools began Tuesday, October 3rd. High school application, specialized high schools admissions test registration opens at that time. Friday, October 27th, coming up next week, specialized high school registration closes. And Wednesday, November 8th, specialized high school testing day. So please make sure for those of you who are in that space, that we're aware and we're sharing this with our constituents. Friday, December 1st, high school application closes, and Thursday, March 7th, high schools will release their offers. Middle school applications, Wednesday, October 3rd. Middle school application opens. Friday, November 10th, deadline to register to test for the Mark Twain IS 239 and District 21 talent opens. Friday, December 8th, middle school application closes. Wednesday, April 3rd, middle school offers are released. Kindergarten G&T, Tuesday, December 5th, kindergarten G&T applications open. Friday, January 19th, kindergarten G&T applications close. On the March 27th, kindergarten G&T offers will be released. 3K pre-K, Wednesday, January 10th, applications will open and close on March 1st. G&T upper grade, Monday, April 15th, G&T upper grade application opens, and Friday, May 3rd, upper grade G&T applications close. So it's important, you know, for all of us inside of our spaces that we're making sure that this information is clear, especially to our parents, that they're aware that these deadlines are out there, especially for our high school and middle school applications. Really super important that our families know when these things occur and that they don't have to necessarily be in a rush just to submit. They should take some time looking at the schools that they want to apply to and get a real understanding before submitting those applications. So, you know, just as a FYI for our community, that those dates are coming up. So listening to Learn Tour has been rather successful thus far. Appreciation goes out to all of our schools for opening up their buildings to these events. PS 214, 185, 129, 184, and PS 20 have already been visited. Special thanks to Councilmember Ung and Senator Liu for joining me during the PS 20 visit, which was just this past week, where Councilmember Ung actually announced a $500,000 RESOA grant for PS 20. So congratulations to them, and thank you to Councilmember Ung for her support. And we've also gotten a lot of feedback from the community, which I'm going to share with you right now. These are just the fall learning tour spaces that we visited thus far and the number of people that have contributed to this. We had a really nice turnout for our U of T staff, and while it says 598, a number of those folks were doubled up and connected with a bunch of their colleagues, so it was probably well more than the 598 that's present there, but that's what we were able to record on Zoom. We had over 500 people at 129, which was terrific, and all of the other visits we've had, you know, a good turnout as well, where we received a lot of comments from our families, you know, in terms of the spaces that what we're doing well. So what Ms. Martin did, and thank you to Marissa for organizing this, is establishing what were the things, the common threads around comments that our families and community members made. Communication is something that was the most common space for during these visits in terms of what we do well. A real appreciation for our teachers and administrators. The idea around community was something that was mentioned quite frequently. continuing to support staff with professional learning. That was something that came from our staff. This idea around being happy with a focus on reading was something that was shared a number of times. So the areas in district that we're connected with that is really important for us is certainly around this space of making sure messages are being relayed to the community. And, I'm thankful that that's what many folks did see, as they were going through these visits. So it gives us a nice picture of what our families believe we're doing well. But there were also things that were identified as in need. While we have a number of strengths, one of the ones that came up often and part of a conversation I would love to have with our DLT and certainly with our local elected officials and DYCD is this space. And I know that Wendy, you've been part of these conversations in the past as well, just around tapping into more additional after-school programs. So I do want to continue to push and and encourage those that will certainly listen to this space to try to create more opportunities in our district schools for these DYCD programs. I know it's not as easy as just asking. I know that it involves a lot of dollars, but we're going to continue to push on our end. And certainly, if there are any of you that have feedback in that space, I'd love to hear it too. There is this conversation around diving deeper into HMH, and I think this is both our staff and our parents as community members. So part of that, Rachel, thank you for inviting us to your President's Council meeting tonight, where we're going to be able to talk a little bit around HMH and the expectations within it. And we're going to be offering, as the year goes on, more space for conversation with our families around HMH and what it means for you as parents and the resources that are available to you. So there was a call for more translation of materials. We're going to continue to support that with our schools. Something that they do a lot of is making sure that resources are translated. So we'll continue to push on that as well for our school communities. School safety and dismissal did come up a number of times, just in terms of action space. Part of what I was able to do was connect with our local precincts and the commanding officers from our local precincts to talk to them about, school safety and the dismissal process. So they did acknowledge that is something that is difficult, but also acknowledged ways that we can support schools that expressed, concern about that. They do have, and I don't know that it's an unending amount of space, but they did offer a posting for school crossing guards and encouraging community members to apply for those types of positions. So I do encourage, and we'll share inside of our DLT folder the flyer that was shared with us by the local precincts to encourage even some of our parent community that are interested in assuming those types of roles. And I know it's difficult. Everyone has, lots of things going on in their lives that, a school crossing guard might not be the one that comes to the front of that list, but they do offer, up to 20 hours of work. And I believe the posting said $18 per hour for whomever it is that would be interested in applying. So I did tap into our local precincts, and those are some of the things that we were able to get back from them. Improved attendance and reduction in disciplinary infractions. So we are in the space where our case teams are really working towards this. I'm really excited that right now we have the second lowest chronic absenteeism rate in New York City across the districts in New York City. And our overall attendance is second in New York City as well. So our teams are really pushing every single day to ensure that our kids are in school. We're going to continue to work towards that, as I want to be the best in New York City when it comes to this space, because we know that when our kids are not present, they are not going to learn. So we are really pushing towards that end. Special education support. We've received a lot of positive feedback from the most recent CEC special education presentation. Wendy, I don't know if you had received any additional feedback too, but we did get some positive feedback from that particular session. And because of that, we're going to be offering additional special education training opportunities for our families as the year goes on. Nathan has agreed to offer some of our, to offer our district community more access to special education types of workshops / training opportunities for our families so that they're fully aware of what their rights are as parents. So we're going to continue on that end because I do think it was a very positive meeting during the CEC. So we're going to continue that work. SEL for families, this is something that's come up a number of times. So we have organized a series of training opportunities for our families in terms of starting with executive functioning for our kids. So there'll be 3 separate workshops for families, one in Spanish, one in English, and one in Chinese over the next few months. That is going to be head up by our school social worker, our district social worker, as well as Esther and Jenny. So I thank them for organizing this. The dates for those meetings, November 9th, December 14th, and January 17th. They will be in schools and will be made accessible to any of our community members that would like to attend. So just be on the lookout for that. L support, this came particularly from our teachers. We have organized and will continue to organize professional learning opportunities for our teachers in this area. HMH for special needs, we do have a UFT teacher center individual who does come with a special education background. So she has agreed to offer PLs in the afternoon for our teachers in this area. So we're excited about that. School day trainings for behavioral issues, that's something that is in the works and we will be offering in the near future. And the reason I highlighted these because they are big ticket spaces for us as a district, and they are aligned with where we want to go as a community. But are there any others on there? Feel free to come off of mute that you want me to talk to or that are kind of standing out for you. Yeah, go ahead, Monique.
Hi, Dr. Mike. Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
I just have, I saw it said more communication with parents. So what does that look like? What was it specifically were the parents looking for?
So there wasn't anything. So we ran from the space of communication being awesome and transparent, but there's always those lingering. We can always do better and do more. So it's just continuing to sustain the things that we're doing well in our communities, i.e., the outreach via the reminds, the different platforms that our schools have. It was really kind of to that end. It was like, you're doing great, but let's continue to do it. It wasn't in the space of, things aren't necessarily going well. It's really more just keep it going.
Okay, so everything is
community.
good with that. And so the other question I had was I know you had mentioned school crossing guards. So I'm sure DC 37 that the crossing guard title belongs to us. And so we would of course support the hiring of additional school crossing guards. We did communicate with the city last year that they promised to hire an additional few hundred crossing guards, but would you happen to know the specific locations, or it's just something overall within District 25?
No, that's just an overall comment. So we had some families that were very concerned about arrivals and dismissals, and kind of calling out the need for or their want for additional crossing guards in their area. So in response, then, part of that was connecting with our precincts, and what was shared with me was the application for additional. It was not a guarantee at anything, but it was an opportunity.
Yeah, okay. Because if you need support with that, I can speak to the local executive board to see if I can get some of them on board to look into especially if we know the locations, then, and the concern and where it's specifically coming from, because then we could take a look at those corners and kind of assess the situation and support in fighting to get some additional safety agents.
Yeah,
at those-
I think one of the difficulties is, when it comes to any of the arrival and dismissal is, is supporting our families and making sure they understand the patterns that exist in our schools. Certainly then there's always I'd love to have as many as possible, but sometimes these things are a result of just not following kind of like the the expectations of the road. Controlling that is difficult for some of our families, the double parking, the triple parking, the things like that.
Right.
Those are particularly NYPD types of issues and concerns, but we do have a number of schools that have mentioned it, and I can certainly share those with you.
Yes, and I'm not sure if you're aware, but the Department of Transportation does some amazing programs for students and for the parents. They come into the schools, they break it down by grade. So that's also, if those schools didn't have an opportunity to participate in that, they do have a community program that could most likely assist in at least teaching walkers, parents about double parking, things like that, pedestrian. They do have that
Vision Zero.
Vision Zero, yes, the program.
Yep.
And lastly, I just wanted to go back to the training, school aid trainings for behavioral issues. Being that school aids is one of the DC 37 titles, the training has to be run through the union. So if you have any idea of what that's going to look like or who's going to be doing it. The other issue is, school aids aren't really, no matter how much training, they don't have the schooling, the qualifications, the education to deal with students with behavioral issues. School aids already have between 60 to 100 students sometimes in some schools during those lunch periods. So realistically, if the behavioral issues are students who have IEPs, hopefully they have paras attached to them. Schools may have to figure out a way for paras to have their lunch.
Monique, I hear you, and so I don't want this to become, the DLT is not necessarily the space to talk about the part of it that it's connected to specific union space. The idea around the behavioral issues is for us to continue to grow around the needs. So I'm not here talking to you about particular components about what a school aid can or cannot do. This was actually outgrowth around an outgrowth of this, around a school aid making the recommendation that they can use support. So it's not necessarily about the number of people that they see or what it is that they're qualified for. This was an outgrowth of what it is that was a recommendation from one of our school aides during one of the Listening to Learn tour events.
Right. And so the school aid probably brought that up because there isn't really support. So maybe wording it a little differently, because it says school aid training for behavioral issues. That's not something that they're trained to do. And I'm not going back and forth about union things. I'm talking about utilizing our, school aids to support students with behavioral issues when that is not their forte. As you know, as I know myself, many of these school aids are in the cafeteria and outside during recess without any administration or support. And so if there are children that are exhibiting behavioral issues, the school needs to find a way.
And I get it, Monique. I get it.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Sure. Any other comments? Okay. So we are going to continue the Listening to Learn tour events. The next one will be on Wednesday at PS 164. So I encourage any of you that are available to please join. If you can't join on in person, you're certainly welcome. It is always live streamed. Thank you to Lewis for organizing the live streamed events, because it does allow us to connect with and tap into our families in different ways. And although we have not had a lot of traffic on the live stream, correct, Lewis? We haven't had a lot of traffic on the live stream space. It does create an opportunity for our folks.
I'll never tell you if no one's watching.
We do make it visible for our
The
for our
recording
community
is
to join.
the recording
Yeah.
is good. That's what's good too.
Yeah.
Recording.
So I do encourage as many of our community members to join and offer the feedback as it comes through, because we will take it and then create actionable spaces for it. It's an opportunity for us to really kind of bring these things from the space of here's what we've kind of learned to, okay, from what we've learned to make a space for improvement and next steps. Okay. So we also want to celebrate our two blue ribbon schools. Congratulations go out to PS 242 and 244. Certainly a well-earned recognition from the federal government and the work that they have done to support improved outcomes. So congrats to Ms. Principal Pritchard and Principal Groff on this very well-deserved recognition. Okay, state of the district. This was just shared during our most recent CEC meeting. I do want to share it here as well, so that our community is aware of all of our current data and what it means for us moving forward. Starting off with our most recent state assessment scores. As a district, we did not grow significantly here. We're just under 63% of our kids performing at or above grade level. It was a 0.3% increase from where we were in 2022 as compared to 2023. And we did see an increase in percentage of level 1 students this past year. When we're looking at the comparison of 22 to 23 across grade levels, the one grade level that did stand out in terms of starting place was grade 3. If you notice grade 3 on the very bottom of this graph, you'll see that the gray and yellow, those two bars were certainly in a different space than they were in 2023, which means that we did see a decline of 5.3% from our starting place the previous year. Our fourth graders did show improvement from the previous year by 3.5%, and grade 5 outperformed the previous year's grade 5 by 6.7%. And they also did show a decrease in the number of kids that were at level 1. Okay, grade 6 through 8. Also a similar type of pattern here that does exist in terms of our grades. 6 and 7 were lower than the previous year. Grade 6 performed 8% lower. Grade 7 performed 6.2% lower. And grade 8 showed an increase, comparatively speaking, to the previous year's cohort. But when you look at year to year, we did see progress for our cohort groups in grades 4, 5, 6, and 8. When we look at the previous year to this year, with the greatest improvement in grade 6 with a 5.8% positive change. And also to note that we had 72% of our 8th graders leaving us moving into high school on or above grade level, which is the type of movement that we certainly want to see. And so even when we do have positive data, there's still a ton of work that we need to do as a collective district to continue to grow our outcomes. Our students with disabilities, this is an area that we do need to continue to improve upon. There's no doubt about that. And that's even with saying that we did see a 2.8% improvement from 22 to 23. We did see an increase in the percentage of children at level 1 for our students with disabilities. Lots of work that's still ahead of us with this particular subgroup in District 25. Similar to our data where we're looking across grade levels, we saw similar patterns here as well. Grades 4 and 5 did show improvement from the previous year, but grade 3 did have a different starting place, and you can see that it's pretty significant difference for our third graders here. We had 33%, 32+% of our kids in 22 down to 25% in 2023 for our grade 3 students. So we do have a lot more work that we clearly have to do for that. Grade 4 did improve by 13.7% and grade 5 by 7.7%. Grades 6 through 8, grade 6 and 8 showed improvement in students on or above grade level. Grade 8 improved by 7.7%, and grade 7, and a 16% decrease in level 1. Grade 6 improved by 1.4% with a 13% decrease in students performing at level 1. And that's what we really do want to see. We want to see that reduction in children that are currently not meeting standards to move them to that space of approaching to eventually on or above. Oops, sorry. For our Ls, much like our students with disabilities, this is a subgroup that we need to continue to improve upon. The one thing about our English language learners is that it is an ongoing target. You know, it's a moving target. As we test children out, we get new children in that are new to the English language. So it is an ongoing process that we're continuing to work towards for our Ls. Grades 3, 4, and 6 and 7 showed reduced performance compared to 2022. Grade 3 saw the biggest difference as compared to past years with an 11% difference in performance. So we do have our work cut out for us, especially for our 4th graders this school year, and our current 7th and 8th graders as well. Part of what our schools are doing is really tapping into that data and making plans to support children that are currently not meeting expectations. Our subgroups in ELA, our Asian learners grew by 1.8%, Black learners grew by 1.3%, our white learners by -0.2%, and our Hispanic learners by -0.7% when comparing previous years across all grades. And you can see it's rather similar from one year to the next in District 25 when it comes to subgroup performance. The one grade level that we did see significant growth was in our grade 8, as we shouted out earlier. Our Black learners improved by 14.7%, with 61.7% of our learners on or above grade level. Our Hispanic learners grew by 9%, with 57.6% of them on grade level. Asian learners at 80.1%, and our white learners at 75.4%. The growth that we did see in 8th grade is the growth that we want to see across grade levels, which we will continue to work on this school year. District math data, we did see significant improvement in math compared to the previous year. We grew by 8% as a collective district. And we did see a reduction in the number of children that were at level 1, which is super important for us as a district community. So going across grades 3 through 5, where we will see that this space for our students, grade 4 and 5 exhibited the greatest difference with a 7% increase, while grade 3 performed at 4.5% higher than the previous year. And all of these grades saw a decrease in the percentage of children that were at level 1, as you can see from the graph. Similarly, in grades 6 through 8, grades 6 and 7 saw the greatest difference with over 10 to 12% of students performing on or above grade level in terms of an increase. And grade 8 performed 8.3% higher than the previous year. And each of these particular grade levels saw a reduction in students performing at level 1, with the exception to grade 8, who did see a higher increase. Now, what I do want to point out for grade 8, as I shared during the CEC, this does not include all of our 8th graders. We had 1,400 of our 8th graders that did not take the math state assessment because they participated in the Regents exam this school year, so they would not be part of this data. Our students with disabilities did see progress, although obviously a lot more work to be done here. 9%, almost a 10% increase of children performing at or above grade level, and an almost 13% reduction in children at level 1. Similar pattern as what we saw before for all grades. The pattern exists here for our students with disabilities. Grade 5 increased their performance by 4.8%, grade 4 by 13.7%, and grade 3 declined by 0.1% as compared to the previous school year. Grades 3 through 5 indicate a 9 to 12.5% decrease in the number of kids that were at level 1. 6th through 8th grade, percentage of students performing on or above did show increases across grade levels. Grade 8 by 9.7%, grade 7 by 21%, grade 6 by 12.6%, and there was a reduction in students performing at level 1. So we have seen progress, lots more to do in mathematics. As while we did grow by 8%, you can still see that there are a significant percentage of our children not meeting standards in special education. Our Ls did grow by 2.8% from the previous year and did see a reduction in students at level 1 by 8%. And our subgroup performance, we did see a positive change in terms of our subgroups. Our white subgroup had the largest change in 12%, over 12%. Our Black learners by just under 11%. Our Hispanic learners by just under 10%. And our Asian learners by just over 8%. And every subgroup saw a reduction in students performing at level 1. And that is the current space of our district-wide data. Does anyone have any questions or comments about the information that I just shared? So as part of this work, every single school in the district is working and organizing themselves around the data that we receive, not only from the state test. During the next session, during the next DLT, I will share with you the results from our benchmark assessment that was just administered for Acadians and iReady. We still have some children that haven't assessed. We have seen some positive signs, especially in our early childhood. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that during our next meeting. But the goal of all of this information is that our schools are organizing to help support our children that are currently not meeting standard, as well as those that are on or above, through the design of the lessons that they're creating. So you've heard me talk around small group instruction quite a bit during whether it's my Listening to Learn tour, CEC meeting, or even here. The goal is that our building leaders and our teachers are organizing accordingly to support positive outcomes for our kids. And one of those things is around, do we know our children? Do we know who they are? And do we know what it is that they need in order to improve? So from the district level is information that we do share with our schools in terms of who are our kids that we need to pay attention to inside of our classrooms that need us the most in terms of not meeting standards, and organizing our lessons to support that. So that is the current state of our district. There will be more to follow in terms of our goals. You can see the data here is aligned with our district-wide goals of improvement. And the one thing that I would love for all of you to consider, and this is something that came up during the last meeting because I've been thinking about this a lot. This space of improving outcomes by a minimum of 5%. I would love everyone to kind of really think about and reflect on that space. And is that saying everything that we want to say for improvement in the district? And what I mean by that is, when we say 5%, to me, it can become very limiting. Do we want to say something more around that? We're making progress for our kids in larger percentages. Maybe not saying that all of them are going to be meeting standards, but that they are all going to make progress towards meeting standards. So just floating that out there at you, and I will have some different language for our next meeting that perhaps we might want to entertain in terms of making an adjustment in that space. So that is it for me. I'm going to turn this next space over to Mr. Zwillik, who's going to go over his components of the agenda.
Good morning, everyone. I just want a little shout out to unbelievable Mike. I'm with you on that one. You know that.
Nicely done, Mr. Zwillik. We can't do it very often, so hold that cup proudly when you can.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. As you know, I'm filling in for Dr. Gus. He is down under at the moment. I don't even know the time difference, but he randomly emails me some stuff, so I know he's actively watching emails. I'm going to go a little bit out of order for the agenda that he sent over to you guys, District 25. Conducting a fall needs assessment. Well, Dr. Mike just covered a lot of the data that I would expect to be included in the needs assessment. So going through that and assessing your alignment to your DCEP goals would be the next step for the DLT. Again, I'm not here to make you do that and get that all done now. I just wanted to point out that as always, District 25 is very data driven, and that was a very big part of what could be brought into the needs assessment for your full data. The next thing I want to bring up is on your agenda item was the proposed DLT monthly activities calendar. Gus sent it expecting that we would get the approval to share it. We did not get the approval, but it looks very similar to the SLT ones that Gus shared last month. We're just waiting for the approval for that, but it will keep the agenda items moving forward throughout the year, associating to your requirements for state and federal guidelines. But the biggest bulk of what we're going to talk about today is the draft consolidated application for ESSA funded programs. Do I have sharing rights?
Yes, you do.
Awesome. Thank you, Lewis. Give me 2 seconds and let me get this up. Give a quick PowerPoint for all of you. Share this. Can we see?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. All right. Okay, so this is the consolidated application for ESSA funded programs for fall 2023 presentation. This is a lot of information. Gus has sent it digitally to the DLT. If anyone needs it, please reach out. I know it's being recorded, taking those screenshots, whatever you need, it's all right in here. As always, I'm going to throw my stipulations in content written from the feds and from the state. They talk about the LEA as a district, the district being New York City. They understand and adjust for us for compatibility, because recognizing that New York City as one district is way too large to look at certain things. So it is they allow us to break it up into the geographical districts and the high school districts as done. So there's always that possibility of nomenclature where they talk about the district and it's not directly for District 25. And this is 100% what we're talking about, because these federal funds go directly to New York City and they are then distributed out to everyone else. Our office, not me, does a nice job of giving pictorials and really quick snippets. So real quickly, simplifying the application process right there. Use the New York State Department of Education uses the application to apply for federal funds for schools and their districts. New York City ensuring accountability. New York City makes sure that federal funds are used effectively in their schools and report on how they're used. Promoting fairness and equity. New York City Department of Education works to distribute funds fairly so schools with greater needs receive the necessary support. And coordinated education programs. New York City Department of Education coordinates different education programs to help students learn and succeed. So underneath, the chart highlights the critical role of the local education agencies, LEAs, in utilizing New York State consolidated application for ESSA funding to benefit schools in their districts. I'm not reading this one out to you. There is a lot of words, but what I really want to point out to all of you is on the right side, in the right column, blue, if you can see colors, underneath, it gives you the links and, well, the numbers and the links directly to the SAMs, school allocation memorandums. Okay, Title I, the biggest one that everyone always talks about, Title 1A, it's SAM 11. Title I, neglected and delinquent education, SAM 47. Title 2A, SAM 12. Title 3, SAM 14 and 51. Title 4, SAM 15, 33, and 46. And just to show you, I'm going to take a quick click. These are publicly available, no login needed. Back to my presentation. I'm going to pause here. I do have one more, I think it's one more slide. Yeah, one more slide, but does anyone have any questions? I know I go through this fast, but a lot of this is repetitive stuff year after year. I know there's new people, that I've seen new faces. And if I can't give you an answer right now, I will make sure we get you an answer. So I just wanted to pause to see if anyone has any questions. Guess I'm doing really good. And last but not least, how are the consolidated applications in the DCIP and the DCP connected? Well, here's a nice description. If you see the citywide strategic plan, which is the DCIP, developed around the chancellor's 5 priorities, improves instructional practice, supports the district needs of CSI, ATSI, and TSI schools, increases student performance outcomes and alignment with district DCEPs. Then the CONAP for ESSA, which is what we're talking about right now, focuses on the fiscal and programmatic information for the implementation of Title I, II, III, and IV programs and actions outlined in the DCIP. It also fulfills required guidelines and offers limited opportunity for change. On the right side, you have the district-wide strategic plan, DCEP. This is what you guys work on as a DLT. Align the chancellor's 5 priorities, improves instructional practice, supports the needs of CSI, ATSI, and TSI schools, increases student performance outcomes, alignment with district CEPs, and also aligns with the DCIP, supports interventions and initiatives. There we go. Let me stop sharing. Okay, I know I just threw a whole bunch of words and alphabet soup out at everybody. Please, if you don't have any questions right now and you're watching the recording because that's what you do, because I sometimes do that, shoot me an email, shoot Dr. Gus an email, reach out to Dr. Mike. He definitely knows how to reach out to me. Let's see. And I know that your bylaws are already on. You guys already talked about the bylaws. That was making sure that on our agenda that the bylaws, if there's any adjustments need to be made for the DLT, that they're done early in the year. And it's October, it's second meeting. Any other questions?
I have a question. The Title I school, are parents allowed to know how much Title I funds go into their school?
Yes, that was that SAM 11 that I clicked on. It's publicly available, and it's broken down by school across. Depending on where you look, you can get this by the state. You can get, but right there, SAM 11 is the DOE's one. All you have to do is Google SAM 11 NYC DOE, and it'll go up and it's broken down by school.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and Wendy, every school budget is available right on the Department of Ed on the school's website. So when you look up an individual school, so for example, for you, if you were looking up PS 107, they have like a public view of what the school's budget is. It's present up there for anyone to see.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And right now we're in a pretty good place with goals and alignment to Central and kind of part of the tours. All of our work we've kind of aligned to each of the 5 priorities that the Chancellor has set forth, and created our action steps around the elements that are within those bullet statements that are within the central plan. So we are in pretty good shape right now. You know, the draft DCEP is already in the platform for everyone to kind of take a look at and review. So we're in a good place there. Is there anything else, Mrs. Willick, or that was it?
JETS, Jets. I mean, come on, I had to. And like you said, we got to take advantage of it, especially with the way the season began. Listen, as always, thanks for listening to me. It's always a pleasure to fill in for Gus when he's unavailable. I'm an email away for anyone who needs, and thanks for having me.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Mrs. Willick. Do we have? I don't see our high school representative, although I see Shirley just joined. Yay, Shirley. Do we have anyone from high schools on right now? I don't think so. Hi, Shirley.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Welcome. So I don't see anyone from the high school superintendent's office. I know, Shirley, you just joined, but we're actually getting into that portion of the meeting to talk high school report. Is this something that you have for us from the from high schools? Oh, you're on mute, Shirley.
So you want me to give the citywide high school subcommittee report?
Sure, yeah.
Not the constituents, right? Not
Yes.
not Queens High School.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So the citywide subcommittee meeting was Wednesday, September 27th. The main presentation was District 75, where you have Superintendent Lucien and his team go over different population of District 75, and specifically the clinical and support services of District 75. I know I did send the notes to Lewis, and probably is in the documentation. The hidden gem is the Urban Assembly of School for Emergency Management, and it's a small CT school that's located on the Mary Bertram campus. They focus on healthcare and they are partnered off with Northwell Health. They received a grant of a PT grant, which allows them to have grades 9 through 14. So when they graduate, they have an associate's degree in paramedicine through BMCC. And the other highlight is that this is the first year we're starting out borough-based breakouts, where we go to breakout rooms based on boroughs to discuss high school needs and concerns within the borough. And the slides and everything is on the notes if you want to get any more in depth, but that is for the citywide high school subcommittee. If you want me to go into Queens High School President's Council, I can if you like.
Yeah, sure, please. Sure.
Queens High School President's Council. Well, our meeting is tonight. Like us, Monday was a holiday, so we didn't have our October meeting. I know I already discussed September's meeting. So tonight, we're going to go over school leadership teams to why is this important and what is the roles of parents on the school leadership team, and remind them that each district is planning their district leadership team, their SLT training, Title I training within the district. Only one district had completed. District 29 did two last week already, so they're done with their SLT training, and everybody else is planning their upcoming between now and October and November and December. So we have a host of across the districts. So we're going to discuss school leadership team more in depth. And any other special? Nope. And then we'll just hear from our UFT partners and the superintendent and their teams this evening. I think that's the two. There's another thing about the DOE email. I know that's supposed to go in effect that we're supposed to, and I say we, meaning PA, PTAs, President's Council, Title I PACs and PACs. If they go forward on their schedule, October 28th, those emails are going to be discontinued, and they're going to put the work on the school level for whoever's designated to be that person to create the DOE emails for individual parent leaders. So instead of the PTA, for example, have one email, DOE. If there's 4 people on the board, each one will have a DOE email, and which raises a whole other issues about violation of the regs, where the reg says you must use the association or the President's Council email address on financials. So we're trying to work that out. But that is what's the pressing concern is right now is those DOE emails. And that's it for my report this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Yeah, I could certainly see the space of concern around mixing both of those spaces. So we'll make sure that we're also connecting on that with Esther and the team. So thanks for sharing that. Appreciate it. Any comments from CSA, Mr. Marino? Anything that you want to bring up, call out?
No, sir. We're in good shape. Thank you.
Okay, anything from CEC? Sure. Wendy, anything you want to call out?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you. So we still have 2 vacancies on the council. We interviewed a candidate last month because of her, she's a graduate student. She's a mom, so her time for CC is limited. So she will not be joining our council. We have 2 applicants that the council will be interviewing hopefully this week, and we'll see what happens to that. We are trying to partner up with Queens Museum. They will be having a parent workshop day at the museum in December, and we are trying to partner with Queens Museum to bring this event to our district. It's a free event, I believe. Also, there was in the news, there were in Brooklyn, I think in District 20, there was bullying in the schoolyard that happened. And some parents had asked if in a similar situation, what can our local precincts do? So I'm trying to I want to maybe invite the NYPD to come to speak at one of our CEC meeting, and hopefully maybe they can do a presentation on what the protocol is in the event that there's some type of physical altercation between students in the vicinity of the school area. It might not be in the schoolyard, but in what parents can do. So hopefully I can give you further information on that. Yep, and that's my report.
Yeah, Wendy, you know what? And I was as part of my conversation with the local precincts, we do have three that connect to District 25, 107, 111, and 109. You know, they did express their willingness to connect with us on all things safety, including, you know, supports in that space of bullying. So they did express willingness. So that's part of something I was going to connect with them on anyway, in terms of just creating opportunities in the district space. So I'll be happy to connect with them too if you'd like them to come to a
Yes, yes.
CEC meeting as well.
Yes.
Sure.
I will connect with you I guess after the meeting.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. I know that Lamar was unable to join. Monique, you have anything from DC 37?
Yes, I do. School Foods has a hiring hall this Saturday, October 21st from 7:30 to 1. They are looking for, all you need to do is bring your resume at 4436 Vernon Boulevard in Long Island City. We also have shop steward training. Any schools that have shop stewards, there will be an in-person training at the local 372 office. Also on Saturday, 20 West 33rd Street, New York, New York. And district-wide meetings. They used to do them many years ago before COVID. We're going back to in-person district-wide meetings for DC 37 members. So I'm looking to schedule District 25s in November, and that date and time will be announced. The time will be 3:30 to 5, but the dates are to be determined.
So Monique, could you give me a little bit more? What does that exactly mean? What are those meetings for?
So district to actually bring the union back into the communities. We haven't been able to do it since COVID. So it's all been online. So we did borough-wide meetings last year, and now it's district-wide. So all local 372 DC 37 members will come together. We're going to be hearing feedback from them and supporting them. Also getting them to know who we are. We'll be bringing some of our services, health and security, pension, also MELs, which are just basically highlighting some of the benefits that are afforded to DC 37 members. And they've also asked us to invite superintendents. So Dr. D'Antona, if you want to join us when I come up with the date, it will be in November. And I'll let
great.
you know. Okay,
Yeah, sounds good. So we just have to go back to two things. We have to go back to the bylaws, and we have to go back to our minutes, because we do now have quorum to go back through them. So we'll revisit the minutes. I'll put them up shortly, but I do want to just kind of share and just put out there again to our DLT that we'll be hosting two events on October 24th and October 26th. These are two what we're referring to as spooktacular events. It's a book giveaway for our kids in the community. Excuse me. The first one is sponsored by Councilmember Palladino, and we have a number of organizations that have contributed with donations of books, including some of our schools, so that our kids, instead of trick-or-treating for that candy, they're going to be trick-or-treating for some books. So we won't rot those teeth. Teeth will, kind of support the brain in that during those meetings. So during those sessions. So the first one is at Bound Park on the 24th from 4 o'clock to 5. Yes, thank you, Louis. And the second one is at Casino Park. That one's sponsored by Councilmember Ung. Also from 4 o'clock to 5. I do encourage as many folks to come as possible. Including any of you that wish to be there as a volunteer to support the afternoon. The first one, as you guys know from our last meeting, was a really great turnout. We had, upwards of 1,000 people there, give away about 5,000 books. We will have music, and there'll be face painting We have invited our local precincts. We do hope that they're able to join. They did confirm that they will be able to be in attendance, but sometimes other things do come up. So we're hoping they are able to join us on that afternoon as well. So we're super excited about both of those events that are upcoming. And I do encourage, the DLT, any of the anything else that you believe that we should be considering and doing, that we. Sorry, guys. What? My apologies, everyone. When I get a call with Teams while I'm on Zoom, it kicks me out. So I should just shut Teams off completely so that doesn't happen. My apologies.
Okay. I just remember I have a couple of dates, high school fairs that I need to
Absolutely.
share.
Yeah, you got it. We'll definitely get to that in just a moment. I think we're just missing a couple of people now. I can't believe that just happened. Oh, there's Mrs. Willick. I think we're just missing Monique now.
Just wanted to make sure we were awake, Dr. Mike, that's all.
Yeah, right.
And I took over host so that if it happens again,
All right, good.
Okay.
if you leave, everyone doesn't leave.
Everyone doesn't have to leave. Yeah. That was just me clicking the buttons way too fast, and I think I ended it myself. So okay.
They're coming back.
I think we're just missing Monique. Could you ask Monique to come back on, Esther?
I will. I will.
Okay. All right. While Esther is doing that, I do want to make sure that we touch base on the bylaws. Again, I'm just going to share them on the screen so that we can come to consensus. These were updated and revised on the 17th last year. I do not know if there's anything else that anyone believes we need to modify or adjust, but I do want to make sure that we review them and come to consensus on how they are written, and if there does need to be something that we adjust, that we can do so. So I do have them on screen. I'm hoping that you guys had a chance to review it. If you haven't, I will just scroll through this quickly so that you can give it a look-see and make sure that we are on the same page.
This is Rachel. The one thing I did notice is that the DLT calendar is supposed to be distributed at the first meeting of President's Council each school year, and I was unaware of that. So I will make sure that that happens tonight at our President's
Outrageous,
Council.
Rachel. Outrageous.
Thank you, Rachel.
I know. I'm humiliated.
Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for having him back on, Monique. That was an interruption from Teams. My apologies.
No problem.
And Monique, just so you know, we're just going back through the bylaws, just so that we can come to consensus on approving or making any other amendments that anyone sees necessary.
Okay.
This is Rachel again. I had a question
Hi.
about section
Yeah.
3.
Sure.
Is it possible to add that if you're unable to attend the meeting, you may designate someone else to attend the meeting? Or is that already in there that you can have a designee?
So, hold
I
on.
mean, alternate.
Yeah, say that again, Shirley.
Yeah, it's the alternate, not a designee, because if you're the one going, then there's no designees. If you weren't able to come to the meetings, then you have a designee who's assigned to
Who
the,
can't,
it's an
yeah, who would have to
alternate.
come to
Yeah,
every meeting, yeah.
your meeting, yes, it's
Okay.
an alternate. But
Okay.
but you could just send a letter to the district team ahead of time. This is the person who's going to represent President's Council because you're unable to attend. You can do that. That's what we've been doing.
Okay.
Shirley,
you.
do you think that it should be inside of the bylaws and kind of stated in that way where, where we're talking about an alternate?
We
Or just leave
could.
it as such?
See, it depends on if you could foresee in the future.
Yeah, right.
Everybody's usually, most of us are reasonable. Okay, she
Yeah,
can't come. She sent a letter. She let us know.
yeah,
But then, once in a blue moon, there's somebody's like, but the Bible doesn't say that. So
right.
it's up for a question. But I think, yes, I don't think we need to. But I mean, just in case you can have it, you must send at least a letter, a notice a day before saying that you're unable to attend, and I'm sending, or how many days ahead I'm sending XYZ to represent whatever constituency we are. We can add it if y'all like, if we could come to consensus, but I'm fine either way, whether we do or not.
So what do you guys think? Do we want to include that in there, or is it just okay to just have that notice of just letting someone know, letting, the DLT know that you would not be able to be in attendance and that an alternate will be joining?
As long as we all know the process, I don't think it needs to be
Yeah,
added.
because the idea of a designee already kind of implies that that person will be coming in your stead, versus, that you're unable to be there and someone will represent you on that day. Okay, we're good? All right, we're good as it is? Okay. Any other comments other than section 3? And thank you for that, Rachel. All right, terrific. So consensus has been established. We will kind of identify that these were reviewed again as of 10/16/2023. And they will go in as written for this year. We'll continue to revisit these as necessary during the school year. So thank you guys for that. The last part too, I do want to make sure that we go over the minutes. There was one correction that was requested, and just have to go over a space of grammar that was in here. In a welcome thanks, and I will make sure that I revisit that and correct it for the official minutes, but I do want to go through here that we can come to consensus on our minutes from September. So just take a couple of moments so that we can make sure that these are Okay, sorry about that, guys. I keep getting calls and they keep booting me out of here, trying to fix why that happens. Sorry. Do we have consensus on the minutes? Okay, good. Thank you guys so much. Any new business that anyone has?
I have
I
a
want to give
question.
you a, go ahead, whoever has the question first, go.
Okay. With regards to the installation of the security cameras, is there a schedule or a timeline of, that all when is it expected that all the schools in our districts going to have the cameras installed? Is it throughout this entire year? Is this a 2 years project?
Yeah, so it's something that I will most definitely try to get a timeline for. The intention is that we do get them this year. I know a number of our schools have already received those preliminary visits to kind of look at the space and how they're what the installation will look like. So I will definitely work towards getting a timeline for everyone to see when that installation will come. I know, part of that will involve training and supports for, our building leaders and those that'll be kind of, manning that space to ensure that all protocols are followed accordingly. But that is an in-process thing that I will see if I can get a more definitive timeline for when that will happen across each of our schools. But the process has already started. Yeah, process has already
I
started.
just would like to add,
Yeah,
I would
Shirley.
like to add that they're starting with elementary schools all across the city. So they're doing it by elementary, then they're gonna do middle school, then they're gonna do high school. And they had started in August back with what do you call it, Manhattan. And I know certain Queens elementary schools in different districts are starting the process, including here. So I don't know if they have I don't know how their schedule is, but they said we're doing elementary schools first. So, and they're going like borough to borough. And I think they have a rotating schedule from, concentrating from elementary school from this borough and then they move on. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
But
know how tight the timeline will be,
yeah.
Wendy, but I'll definitely work to see if we can get some kind of access to around the roundabout when they expect completion to be for our schools. But it is in process for sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Shirley.
Yeah, no problem.
Go ahead, Shirley.
I just want to, I forgot about this. So Queens South High Schools had their fair on the 14th this past weekend, but the Queensborough President's Office also having a high school fair. We're calling it high school selection and awareness fairs. So there's 3 of them. So 2 Saturdays in a row. October 21st is going to be at the Queensborough Hall, at the Helen Marshall Cultural Center, and it's by themes. So all the schools present will be business and general studies high schools. And then October 28th, it will be arts and humanities high schools at York College. And then science and technology high schools will be there on Wednesday, November 1st. I know I had emailed out the flyers. If you need me to send it again, just let me know. But the high school fairs are for the Queensborough President's Office is throughout this month and the first day in November.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Shirley. Okay, Monique.
Yeah, it's just referring to the minutes. I had to actually pull it up from the website because I wasn't sure it was small for me to see, but I don't think where it says the 2023, 2024 DLT representatives, I think you're missing the DC 37 rep on there.
Okay, we'll correct it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone else with new business? And then I just have one thing that I want to kind of bring up to everyone for some feedback. Anyone else have anything? Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is, is around something that I do want to work towards making happen, and that was around creating that district podcast type of space. One of the things that I would love from from all of you is recommendations around, you know, the topics that we can make. And the likelihood's probably a December-ish is probably when I will be able to get organized to start, you know, that type of work. But I do want to make it something where it's appealing not only to, you know, to adults, but to kids as well. You know, and maybe perhaps there are multiple different ones. Maybe one is more of a, you know, a student-centric versus a adult-centric type of podcast. But one of the things that I would love before even getting started is some feedback from all of you around, you know, what could some of those topics be? You know, what kind of guests do you think that you would like to see present? What would you as a parent want to hear about? What would you as a constituent want to hear about? So that, you know, we're creating other avenues of discourse around improvement. You know, so I don't know if anyone has any ideas right now that they want to kind of broadcast out there. But I do think that it is something that I want to get done. I think it's just a different way of having conversations around important things. And I saw Wendy just included around special education. We can most definitely do things around special education. What I would love to see from families, and as you guys do that outreach, it's, you know, communicate with your families what types of things would they want to know about that, you know, so that, you know, I can bring in you know, people from the team or outside of the team, you know, to support the conversation, you know, to engage in a Q&A that makes sense for our families. All things safety, we can certainly do that. Thank you, Rachel. You know, and the more we can kind of drill down from that space of safety, what types of things would we want? You know, maybe perhaps we can bring in some of our local, you know, precinct members to do a Q&A around certain things around localized safety. Even our borough safety director can certainly be part of it, you know, absolutely. But what I encourage you to do, maybe perhaps between now and our next session, if you'd be willing to tap into your constituents in different ways, you know, parents that you speak to, even your children, things that they would say, you know what, I would love it if Dr. D'Antona did this during that, or had this type of person serve as a guest. If you can do that, I would really appreciate it. Because I think it creates a nice way to connect, you know, in something that is kind of low stakes, more of a conversation than it is, you know, me preparing a PowerPoint. You know, I'm sure as much as community members love a good PowerPoint presentation, I'm sure they would rather just have a good old-fashioned conversation around things that are important to them. So I encourage you, if you could do that for me, that would be great. I would also love it if, as community members, you can kind of also do some of that outreach around, you know, types of things that you have needs-wise when it comes to our new curriculum, things that parents want to know about HMH, things that parents want to know about MindUp, because I do want to offer opportunities from the district lens to our families from the district space. So training opportunities for our families in HMH, be happy to do things like that. Anything that they feel like, anything that our parent community feels like they need, I want to be able to connect with and for. So we've been fortunate. We've already started supporting our parent coordinators in this way, giving them some background on the HMH program, which we want to continue to do throughout the year, so that they're comfortable with sharing what are the resources. Not necessarily that our PCs are going to be experts at HMH delivery, which they are not going to be or expected to be, but to be a resource for you guys as parents, you know, in terms of what are those tools that we can use to support our families. So those are just a couple of things I have on my mind. Love it if you in your roles can connect with some of your constituents in that regard, and then bring them back during our next session, next DLT meeting, so that we can communicate a little bit more on that. And that would be great. Okay. Other than that, I thank you guys. I'm actually going to be giving you back the gift of time. We went through our agenda really quickly today. So I thank you guys for being here. And do we have consensus on adjourning the meeting today, provided there's no other comments? Yes, we got double thumbs up for Shirley, double thumbs up from Wendy. Mr. Marino's all good. Single thumbs up. He wasn't as enthusiastic. Wait, Monique's got a Monique's Rob. We can
No,
stay
I'm
here
just
for as long as
raising my
everyone-
hand saying
Oh,
yes.
all right.
I'm giving you the okay.
Okay, good. All right. So thank you guys for being here. And, you know, I look forward to speaking with all of you guys during the next meeting. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Matt.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Be well,
Rachel,
everyone.
night.